is Billy Mccormik. I'll be doing a presentation on perception. So perception is the process of selecting, organizing, and interpreting environments, situations, and the people around you. Perception is an active process. It's something we're always doing. We actively select what things we notice, selectivity of perception, and meaning is based off of how we organize and interpret what we notice around us. Perception process is broken up into 3 individual parts, which are classified as follows: selection, organization, and interpretation. Perception process is an active process since it occurs continuously throughout our lives. We cannot be passively processing life as it happens. Selection is the first stage of the perception process because this is what one notices first about a picture, a person, a scene in a movie, and the list goes on. One may react to certain stimuli differently than others due to the intensity levels of those situations as well as being influenced by our personal passions. Some ways to intensify something is with bright colors or loud noises. You see something red or bright. Another aspect of selection is perceiving the things we want. Our motive or desire can change our perception of things. For example, if you don't like your job, you may start noticing everything that is wrong with your workplace. If you are in the market for a new car, you may look at all the other cars on the road you can choose from. Organization is the second stage of perception, and we organize what we perceive in meaningful ways to ourselves. Constructivism is a theory that states we use cognitive schemata to organize and interpret our perceived events. 4 types of schemata for perception are prototypes, personal constructs, stereotypes, and scripts. Prototypes. Prototypes are the knowledge structures that define the clearest or ideal examples of some category. Prototype is the ideal example of a certain category, such as an ideal person or an ideal setting. Think a school teacher or a perfect park that you would go to. Prototypes allow us to group things into broad categories and make organizing them in our minds easier. So you can group people based on your example of what they should be. Personal constructs are a mental yardstick to judge a person or situation. Personal constructs allow us to assess the qualities of a situation or person. This may be on a left or right scale or a 1 through 10 scale. This may be how happy of a person they are or how likely they are to be a good teammate. Personal constructs are measured by context. For example, you may not judge a person's teamworking if they are not a coworker. And you may not care how friendly or not friendly someone is if their kindness does not affect the situation. Stereotype. Predictive generalization about a person or situation. Stereotype is a personal prediction based off of your own prototypes. This is how you guess who someone is without them telling you based on limited knowledge. For example, if you know someone grew up in a rough neighborhood surrounded by criminals, you may predict they are one and the same. However, that person could be a hardworking citizen who volunteers in their off time. Stereotypes do not always accurately reflect a situation or group because they are purely a prediction based on subjective knowledge. Scripts. Scripts are a sequence of activities that spells out how we act in a certain situation. Script acts as a situational guideline, such as introducing yourself to a new person or entering a room. There's a set of expectation in almost everything we do in our day-to-day lives, and scripts are how those expectations are played out. So, say a family gathering. If there's a way things will go, guidelines, how people talk, what you'll do, you'll eat this time, you'll go sit in the living room and watch TV at this time. Interpretation. Interpretation is the subjective process of creating explanations for what we observe and experience. Interpretation is the way a person views an image or the world around them based on their personal experiences. For example, when you see this picture, what do you see?
Duck.
Bunny.
There's 2 different sides to it, and it's all of how you think and how you perceive whatever you're looking at. Attribution is the act of explaining why something happens or why a person acts a particular way. Attributions are broken into 4 different dimensions. The external locus, personal factors versus external factors. So, someone is angry, or something is making them angry. Stability, constant factors versus temporary factors. The heater doesn't work, so it's always cold. Or the toilet is clogged for a temporary amount of time, something like that. Specificity, global factors versus specific factors. So it's like this person's very smart versus, oh, they're very good at science and they're very good at chemistry and they know a lot of science-based things. And control is personal factors versus uncontrollable factors. Say someone has bipolar disorder, that's uncontrollable by them. Personal is they're an angry mess, and that's just...
They're just a dick.
Yeah, they don't control themselves. Self-serving bias. Phenomenon where one will form attributions that serve personal interests is known as a self-serving bias. A person's attributions may not always be factual due to this phenomenon. People usually attribute positive actions as well as success to internal stability. However, when a negative action occurs, people dislike taking that responsibility. For example, if you forgot to do your homework that was due to you, you might try and get out of it by sending your dog at your homework. People will always attempt to make themselves seem positive when perceived by others, and they'll, of course, shy away from being wrong. Perception is based on influences in a person's social, familial, and work life through the experiences presented in each. In one such example, imagine that there are two twin brothers raised by an alcoholic father. One is an alcoholic himself, and the other abstains from alcohol use. When both are asked why they behave the way they do, they both reply with, "I watch my father." Even though they grew up in the same environment, the brothers still have differing views on the matter. Everyone's different, they'll perceive their influences of their life differently, such as this case. Physiological factors. Every person has a unique set of sensory abilities which can influence one's perception. So your sense of smell may not be the same as others. You may like the taste of some spices compared to someone else. Such as a cultural dish may not taste as great to one person, but may be amazing to someone who's brought up in that culture. Your mood may also affect your perception, as being sick or tired from work may cause you to not tolerate the same things like being judged by your friends or them making an off comment. You wouldn't care about it when you were feeling good. Expectations are a guide to an upcoming situation based on what we have been told. When we read online about how beautiful a place is, it may make us overlook its flaws. And if a friend says that your person in the group is awesome, we will tend to see the great things about them. Positive visualization is the process of imagining yourself doing something successfully, setting your expectation in the situation of success. So you imagine yourself succeeding in whatever you're going to do. So positive visualization will make you expect to do well, and then you do better. When our expectations are proved false, we struggle to understand unexpectedness. Our interpretation of the situation is then based off of what knowledge we can gather in the moment, and how deeply the lost expectation may have affected us. So say someone says they're going to call you, they don't call you, that may hurt you, or it might not matter. But that's, you had an expectation and it was proved wrong. Cognitive complexity. Cognitive complexity is the idea that refers to the amount of constructs one can use, how in-depth they are, and intricate interactions to shape perceptions. Younger individuals do not usually carry as many personal constructs as older individuals due to less exposure to experiences. Those may not always be true. A person aged 50 or above has a greater sense of the world around them, as well as a greater magnitude of descriptive words based on how someone reacts to situations. When a person is not cognitively complex, they throw out formed judgment about a person when a new idea arises. Cognitive complexity is your understanding of a situation, how different ways you can think to perceive it, so you have a broader understanding of what's going on. Person-centeredness is the ability to perceive another as a unique individual. Based on cognitive complexity, person-centeredness is their ability to treat a person, group, or situation differently based on their unique attributes. For example, you wouldn't talk to your parents or professors the same way you talk to your close friends or people close to your age group. Differences in people, as we learn to understand them, is how we tailor our communication. Person-centeredness is a learned skill, and we improve by assessing who we are communicating with, forming our communication based on our knowledge. So the more friendly you become with someone, the more you understand what drives them and how to communicate with them. Social roles are how different people perceive situations differently based on their personal knowledge. To be how adults may perceive situations versus children, such as fireworks or dangerous versus fireworks are cool. Or the differences in knowledge based on profession. For example, a psychologist is trained to see different things when evaluating a person than a pediatrician is. While a pediatrician will evaluate the well-being, a psychologist may assess the nature of someone's mentality. Cultures and social communities. So cultures and communities shapes your perception of things around you. Communities where stereotypes are built, where beliefs are shared, where communication is made distinct by those around you. Culture is the basis of your belief in social interaction system, and is shared understanding of how you perceive situations. The way one family member sees a person's action will shape how you judge people who act in a similar way in the future. The experience shared by those around you shapes your ability to interpret things, handle situations, communicate with others. You're built by the people that you grew up with, by the people you're around. That's your group. You'll see things the same way that they do. Digital media. So, with access to digital media, we can always find someone else's way of perceiving something, such as Fox News is conservative Republican, CNN, MSNBC is liberal. So if you only watch Fox News, the only thing you'll know is how to perceive things in that conservative manner, as like a realist or a Republican, and see things as a not as diplomatically focused, I suppose. Improving your skills and perceiving. Improving skills and perception should be a lifelong goal of everyone. Wood's Communication Mosaics gives 4 guidelines for improving your perception skills. Avoid mind reading, check perception with others, distinguish facts from inferences and judgments, monitor the self-serving bias. Mind reading is the act of believing that you know what is on someone else's mind, such as how they think or feel about something. Mind reading can cause misinterpretations of how someone thinks or feels about something because when a person mind reads, they institute their personal perspectives on others. For example, if a person hasn't been able to respond to a couple of your calls, one might think the person is avoiding contact, when in reality, their phone could have been lost, stolen, or simply out of mind. You don't want to be, when you think that you know what someone else is thinking, you put your own bias towards it, and it's not what they're thinking. Checking perceptions with others is a critical tool in communication. Since everyone's perceptions may vary, checking perceptions will not only give you clarity, but peace of mind. Checking perceptions, you should never use a dogmatic or accusatory tone, as it may be perceived in a worse light than a simple, tentative tone. So how you may think of something, you want to check with others if it's something controversial. You want to see how someone else thinks about it. Distinguish facts from inferences and judgments. In order to better understand the difference in facts from inferences and judgments, we must first understand the definition of inference and judgment. Inference is a deduction that goes beyond what is straightforward fact. Judgment is a belief or opinion based on observations, assumptions, or feelings. For this, a fact can lead to an inference, and an inference can extend to a judgment if there is no other factual information gathered. Inference is a prediction, something you don't actually know. So if you try to stay away from those, you only go off the facts. You can't make assumptions or rash decisions. And a judgment is even further down that. It's just judging someone with something you don't know. Monitoring self-serving bias. Due to the self-serving bias's ability to alter perceptions, it must be monitored. In order to monitor it adequately, one must call attention to those types of behaviors so that they can be watched over. So monitoring can also cause harsher judgments on others. While judging ourselves gently, the harshness of our native self-serving bias can attack our perception of others. Always think of yourself positively. If you don't like someone, think of them negatively. You want to make it so you can be on the same level as everyone else. In conclusion, perception is a key process in understanding of the things that happen in our lives. It is how we judge our experiences, how we analyze people, and it's critical in how we communicate with others. Selecting what we perceive in our situation, our knowledge influences our daily decisions. We should always strive to improve our power of perception. That is one of the most important factors in effective communication. Thank you, guys.